I have a confession to make. In all my years of knitting, I have never knitted a pattern of Stephen West. I am, as you could say, a Stephen West virgin. Even though I know from quite a lot of people that Westknits are the best knits, I have never ventured into any of his make-alongs or his sock knit patterns. I don't know, I just never knit one of his works, and frankly there is no reason why, so I think it is time to change that. With these two lovely yarns. For Christmas, with my in-laws, we're doing a secret Santa, and I am my mother-in-law's secret Santa. My mother-in-law has been asking me about knitting her something quite a couple of times already, so it is the opportunity to do just that, I think. And my mother-in-law is someone who likes bold statement pieces, so I think the Rockefeller Shawl in these two colors, that would be the perfect Christmas gift for my mother-in-law. The yarns, by the way, are by Lilama Fiber & Co., a Belgian hand dyer who uses natural dyes only. This was dyed with acacia and this with cochineal. I got these two at Made in Wool. It is actually a Belgian fiber festival. Since last year we have a Belgian fiber festival, and I went back in September, and my goal was to have 2 yarns for my mother-in-law's shawl. And I had a clear vision. I wanted an off-white and I wanted burgundy, because that would just fit with my mother-in-law, because she has a beige winter coat and red burgundy glasses. Like, that would just fit, you know, and mission successful. Let's cake this up and start our very first Stephen West knitting adventure. There is one knitting technique where I always feel a little bit self-conscious about, and that is short rows, and more specifically the ones where you have to wrap and turn. And is that exactly what I have to do for 31 of these wedges? By the end of this, I will have mastered the wrap and turn technique. I better! I always feel a little bit self-conscious that it just doesn't look very neat. Maybe that's just me. Welcome to a random highway parking with a very big board, where we have just finished section 1 of the Rockefeller. 32 of these wedges accomplished. A very, very mini shawl right now. I finished section 2 of the Rockefeller. And I believe I and the shawl are quite lucky that I have been confined into the car for most of past weekend, so that I was physically unable to run away from it. Yeah, I think I have said this many times before, but I will repeat it once more. But just plain stockinette actually bores me, and this was stockinette, but the only spicy thing about it was that there was a lot of counting. That's not really the type of knitting that I like doing. Anyway, it looks cool, at least it looks cool. It has that going for it. And from what I've seen, section 3 should also be more interesting than this. I know that I have picked the tamest, probably, of all shawl designs by Stephen West, but yeah, this was a little bit too much stockinette for me to be an actually enjoyable knit. But it is no longer a very tiny shawl. It is starting to become a pretty big shawl. I'm plowing through part 3 of my Rockefeller scarf over here. Well, not my, but my mother-in-law's shawl. And I think I am very glad that I decided that for this October I would be making the mystery knit-along of 2012 as my introduction into Stephen West shawls. Because my friends that have been doing this year's mystery knit-along, oh, I have heard some things. And I'm going to read you some of the things verbatim. The real horror of October this year. He should have spent more time on the design and less on the singing lessons he used in the promo for it. I think he was too committed to the spectacle creep. They're expecting the unexpected. I have to make it more unexpected than ever before. In parentheses, proceeds to fuck up a shawl and call it a pattern. I myself have not knit that shawl, but I've seen pictures of it, and I'm going to say just this: if you need a safe space to complain about your frustrations about this year's mystery knit-along, you can do so in the comment section. I shall not judge, because this is the first and only Stephen West pattern that I have knit in my life, so I am not a fangirl, not at all right now. I mean, I like this pattern, it is looking really good, but I have no loyalty to Stephen West whatsoever. So if you need to vent about the pattern, feel free. Feel free. Right now, I don't have to vent, even though I just learned a new technique. Like, I have never done mosaic knitting before. And yeah, I just did that. Now, on the other hand, if you want to go in defense of this year's mystery knit-along, you're also welcome in the comment section, of course. I would like to hear both sides of the story. Or did you also make the Rockefeller? That would be cool to know. How many of you also have been doing this very stripy bit? So today, as I am working on this shawl, it is November 2nd. I started working on this September 25th. So I think I gave myself just about enough time to get this finished by Christmas. I'm at part 3, like the entire, the wings of this crescent shape still need to come, and I do hope I gave myself enough time for this. I want to be the best daughter-in-law. Wish me luck. Wish me luck. Or wish me time. Wish me time. I'm now partially through the I-cord bind-off. Of course, on I-cord bind-off, it's Stephen West. And finally, I can lay my shawl flat and see how big it actually is. Wow. I wasn't aware I was making this big of a piece just because it was all scrunched up on my needles. Yeah, that's actually looking pretty nice. Very Art Deco. It's the end of November now, which means that I really should get a move on this shawl for my mother-in-law, because I have a little over a month left, like a month and 2 days. It's November 23rd. But like, I started row 4 maybe of this 4th section, and I was already fed up with garter stitch stripes. That's why it's been languishing a little bit. It's like I had so much more interesting patterns either started or in mind to start than a garter stripe. And I was tempted, and I gave in to temptation, and I made some other stuff that I felt were just a lot more of a engaging knit. But now that it is the end of November, I need to get a move on because I want this finished by Christmas. You will have gathered from everything that I have said in this video that it is the first time that I'm actually knitting something for my mother-in-law. And even though that it is the first time that I'm knitting something for her, I do still think that she is a knit-worthy person. Like, I don't have the actual experience of it being true, but I have a hunch. Because while I have not knitted her stuff, my husband and I have been giving her jewelry on occasion. Like, she likes bold jewelry, and every time we see something that we think, that is something she might like, and we give it to her, she actually wears it. We have seen her wear our pieces multiple times. So she is someone who understands the value of gifts. And also, she knows how to knit. She knows how to knit herself. So she knows the value of something knitted, how much time it takes. So yeah, I do think my mother-in-law is a very knit-worthy person, and that this shawl will actually be worn. And I think even a lot more than if I were to make it for myself, because I am not a shawl person. But I have said this before, I am more of a scarf type of person. Not too much fabric everywhere. Please, thank you. Moet je dat misschien even zo vasthouden?
Ik dacht van, ik ga bomben. Jij mag bomben. Zo'n hoofd zo. Is je nou aan het opnemen?
Ja. Ik zal zo een dingen maken. Hoe zie je dit?
Is iedereen zo welke een dwaas zit daar in je
Ja.
Rich foolish person.
The goblins.
The goblin corner. The goblin corner.
The garter stripes, of course, have one big thing going for them, and that is that they are very mindless, which makes them a perfect stitch, a perfect part of this pattern to knit while in company, even when fellow YouTuber Rimsy Knits tries to photobomb my video the entire time. But yes, today is December 2nd, and I'm working on the second of these garter stripe wings. I have already striped my way through the first one. Not very exciting to look at, it's just stripes. Like, really, in comparison to the middle part, it's actually very bland. And I hope this is not like the main part that you will see when my mother-in-law wears the shawl, because because this is the cool part. This is like the Art Deco part that you want to flaunt off, not the stripes. They are very stripy. Like, almost where is Waldo? Now, I think I did tell you that I initially actually didn't buy enough yarn. I mean, I think I did. I don't actually remember. It's over 2 months ago. Nobody expects me to remember this, right? But I think I did. So I am at the second wing, and this is what I have left over. It seems that the red will be more than sufficient. There might be a little bit of stress, anxiety about the remainder of the beige yarn, but I have decided for myself that if I run out of beige, I will just continue with red. Like, I think it would be cute to just have like a red tip at second wing or something. I don't know. That was my plan. If I run out of the beige, I will just continue with the red only. I gambled, and we'll see if I'm bad at gambling or not. So as expected, I had to continue with only the red. Now, I feel like this is long enough, a singular red piece, to well, pretend that this was a design choice and not just me running out of beige, that it fits into the whole aesthetic of chaotic things Stephen West might do. So, yeah, I think this works. However, I'm at risk of having to make another design choice. We'll see if this is enough to finish the tip. Like, I don't have to go long anymore. But this is also not long anymore. I will have to admit defeat in this nail-biting game of yarn chicken. It's not going to work. I'm not going to get to the end of the tip. I mean, I still have like about 20 stitches on my needle right here. I need to get to a point where there is only 9, which means 11 decreases, which means 44 rows. Nope. What I'm going to do is unravel, frog the red part, and start decreasing faster. It's going to look maybe a little bit skewed, but I think if I'm going to go with a 2 right side decrease rows and then 1 plain row, again 2 decrease rows, I will get maximum usage of my yarn while not making it look too different, right? I think that might just work. Like, the incline will just go a little bit more like this. I hope. Fingers crossed. I should have just bought enough yarn, but that would have been 100 euros of yarn. Like, I'm actually a little bit mad at Stephen West for designing a pattern that just does not work with 2 skeins. Like, you need just that little bit extra of a second skein of each color. And I get that he also sells yarn, and this is of course a smart move, but I just want to use 1 skein of fingering weight for all of my colors. Meh. My blocking mats aren't big enough for this shawl. I had to fetch these mats, which are like mats we use if we want to put something on the floor outside. Not the same as my blocking mats, but big shawl. Big shawl is big. And I filmed reveal shots of this before blocking it because it is 1.5 weeks before Christmas. Since it is cold, I wager that this will take at least 1.5 weeks to dry. And I wanted to have shots. And then this is where I put my Christmas tree to put all the packages and the gifts and the big shawl under, if I had one. That is not entirely correct. I do have a Christmas tree. However, our house is currently a construction site. You can't see it very much, but there is construction safety keeping plastic all over the floor, and we are renovating the bathroom, in fact. You know, let me show you for just a little second. Welcome in my bathroom to be! Yeah, that's what's happening, and that's why I currently, or this year, will not have a Christmas tree. A Christmas tree naturally is the least important thing about Christmas. Even though it gives warmth and atmosphere into cold, dark months. But even though I do not have a tree, I will put up a nativity scene because I am in fact a Catholic. I invite you to put up my nativity scene together with me. I will talk a little bit about why I think the nativity scene is important to my perception of my religion. If that induces any kind of trauma response with you, I invite you to, instead of putting this up with me, skipping to this time frame, and then we will just talk about the shawl. Yeah, is that a deal? I don't want to give you bad feelings on Christmas Eve. But for those who are interested, let's put up the nativity scene. I don't have much space, so it will be going over here. It's also very tiny nativity scene. It's actually a toy set, iconic toys, and it's made out of blocks, wooden blocks. I'm a church nerd, so of course I want to tell you that these two aren't in the New Testament, the ox and the donkey. They are a devotional item that wasn't scrapped at the Council of Trent, because the Council Fathers thought they served a good purpose. And the purpose, well, first off, is there is this Old Testament verse, people will not recognize their Savior if he is born except for the ox and the donkey, or something like that. But I also think it's really important to showcase the environment in which Christ was born, and that's the stable with the animals. It is not a fancy party. These two weren't accepted in the fancy environments. They were sent away. A pregnant woman was sent away to give birth in a stable, or maybe a cave. It's really not definite what it is, but we think of it as a stable because of Francis of Assisi, who about 800 years ago made the first nativity scene in a stable. So that's how we got to this iconography. But these two weren't accepted. Keep that in mind. It's Christmas Eve and this bro gets born. I need to stop spewing facts at you, but Christmas was probably in July. Angel appears. Fear not. The angel appears to the shepherd who is currently with his flock of sheep. This is, to me, the pivotal point of how I see myself as a Catholic. I get a lot of comments on this channel every time when I say something about my religion, or whenever I say something that is very progressive, like my guys, gals and non-binary pals. And people are like, you are not a true Christian. And I'm like, you do not understand the Christmas story. Because this is the pivotal point. Jesus' birth is first announced to the shepherd. Now, who is the shepherd? Who are the shepherds in 1st century Palestine? They are the outcasts. They are the ones that are not accepted just like Mary and Joseph were that night. They were not accepted. The shepherds were not accepted. The shepherds were the outcasts. You know, probably the people with disabilities, who looked different, who acted different, poor people, impoverished people, maybe even the gays and the days. And this is who Jesus' birth was announced to first. This is the first person to witness Jesus. I am not sucking this out of my thumb. I got this as my very first lesson on the New Testament by the Vicar General of the diocese where I live in. The Vicar General. Like, if you go one step higher, that's the bishop. This shows the importance of us Christians being accepting and progressive. It does for me. And this is why I might seem to have a little bit of a peculiar flavor of Catholicism in me, but this is how my church tells the Christmas story to me. And now these three dude bros, you know, the wise man, the kings from the east, could you say they're migrants? Jesus was not accepted when he was born, and he first went to the people who were also not accepted by society. And now I will stop preaching. So now my friends who regularly knit the mystery knit along in October, how do you do it in 1 month? I almost spent 3 months knitting on this shawl. Like, I wasn't only knitting on this shawl, of course, because otherwise you would have had no videos from September until now. But damn it, that was a lot of knitting. Whew! I'm actually really glad that it is done. I don't know about you, but a project that doesn't excite you as much just doesn't go as fast. And since this was not for me, not particularly my style, not a thing that I knew I was going to get much enjoyment out, outside of being proud that my mother-in-law is wearing it and that she's happy with it, possibly, it just didn't spur me on to knit it. Maybe also because there was a lot of garter and a lot of stockinette, and at times it felt a little bit boring. I'm sorry, Stephen West. I thought your pattern, my first pattern that I knit of you, was a little bit boring. But it looks really cool. Now that it is done, I can't show you because, of course, it is still blocking over there. But it looks really cool. It looks bold. It looks Art Deco. Yeah, I think it will fit my mother-in-law very well. I also am a little bit amazed by my second tip. Like, I did a faster decrease because, as you saw, I wasn't going to have enough yarn if I didn't. And my tips are the same length and width. How is that even possible? Like, if I fold the shawl double, there is no difference between them. How? How? Tell me why and how. It's magic, but that is good. It's very good because that gives the illusion that this was a conscious design choice, an extra bit of credibility. No, I did not just run out of yarn. This was a design choice to make the second tip like end entirely red. I think it looks good. And that little bit of asymmetry fits, I think. And will also look good when like you have the shawl wrapped around your neck and then you have a stripey and a red bit just dangling over here. That is at least the vision. I don't know what my mother-in-law is going to do with it. Maybe she will just go like this, like a wrap, instead of an actual shawl. Scarf. We'll see. In a little bit more than a week, I get to give it to her. Fingers crossed that she loves it and that I will from now on be the very best daughter-in-law in the world. That is what we want, of course. Anyway, my dear friends, my guys, gals, my non-binary pals, I wish you all a Merry, Merry Christmas if you are celebrating. If you're not, then I wish you a very merry middle of your week, and I hope you have a lot of fun. Or whatever you want me to wish you, that I am wishing you that. Anyway, if you like these kind of fiber shenanigans, then maybe you could like, comment or subscribe, but of course that is all up to you. And as for me, I will see you in a next video. But before we do that, maybe you could look at some more knitting shenanigans. Bye!